So, Mark, did you see that line of people waiting for the brand new Costco in Las Vegas? Who says we're not a normal city with normal people?
Why is there so many people going to Costco? It's just Costco. I mean, the hot dogs are good, but who gets in a line like this for a store opening? This is crazy.
Obviously, you've never met Costco people.
I did hear sometimes they release some special booze or something. I don't know, but Costco people are on another level. Vegas Costco people, even worse.
Do you know who loves Costco, Mark? Boomers like us. Come on, you should be lining up with the rest of them.
No, they just complain about the parking when they get there.
It's bad. So Nevada was hacked, Mark. The state was hacked on Sunday, and they released some information. They're still getting up and running. I guess the big thing that affected people was the DMV is closed, but a lot of different parts of the government were affected here. They say no personal information was lost, so hopefully that's the case, and they're still working to get everything up. DMV is still closed. A lot of stuff still closed. All emergency services are working, though, so good for that. I think this is the first state I've heard of having this issue.
Yeah, they just hacked and shut down a whole bunch of departments, but yeah, nothing was taken. Don't worry. They just turned our stuff off. That's it. It's perfectly fine. Trust me. And I love the part where they're like, we will not pay. We don't deal with terrorism. It's like they've learned nothing from Caesars and MGM.
I read somewhere, and I haven't fact-checked this, that they're not allowed to pay, that governments aren't allowed. There's some sort of a legal restriction from them paying ransom. I guess the biggest sort of parallel to this, we saw the MGM and Caesars hacks a couple years ago. Caesars paid the ransom, got off pretty easy. MGM didn't pay the ransom, and it was a headache, and it seemingly cost them a lot more money. So we'll see. But I guess, yeah, no DMV. My heart's broken. I want to go wait in line.
Those 6 people they would have serviced that day now don't get to go in, I guess.
So it's been a couple of weeks since Universal unleashed its horror on Las Vegas, and nobody's talking about it, Mark. You know I was waiting to say that line, but nobody's talking about it. I mean, the media event was a couple weeks ago. There was a lot of people like theme park influencers that talked about it. But since then, yeah, I haven't heard a lot. People are liking it. $69 to get you into each of the 4 mazes once, $99 for everything, and the price could go up depending on the date as well. But yeah, it's open. Looking good over there.
They must not have paid the Vegas influencers. That's the problem. They didn't get them out there to film it. But no, it looks really cool inside. And if you love haunted houses, this is that, but like it looks even better. Kind of reminds me of the thing that was there, like Lost Spirits, but you know, scarier and all of that, and more horror type of stuff. But you know, dark. You're kind of wandering around. It looks like there's a little bit of area that has like a bar set up where you see shows, and that's kind of what they were trying to tap into with that location. And we went there and talked about how cool we thought it was and how unique it was. So I think this has a lot of those same things. That didn't have the Universal name behind it. It came like right after COVID, so that probably hurt it some. And it just never really kind of took off from there, where I hope that this does. And there's way more money behind it, so I'm sure that they'll ride it out whatever they need to. But yeah, I'm excited to check it out. It looks exactly what we expected it to be.
Yeah, it looks very high quality. And as a reminder, they have the Universal Monsters Maze, Texas Chainsaw, Scarecrow the Reaping, and The Exorcist. And I've heard the Monsters one is the best from everybody I've heard that's been inside of there. Now, this is part of Area 15 Phase 2. And if you haven't been by there recently, it has grown up. It's getting ready to open Phase 2. So my guess is that the owners of Area 15 are withholding a lot of the local media press for their big Phase 2 opening instead of the Universal's part of that. I don't know, but it looks good over there. And the plane is going to open soon. A lot of new venues coming online. And share in the comments. But yeah, $69, Mark, for one entry into each maze, or $99. It's not cheap, but nothing's cheap these days.
Can't believe you haven't said anything with $69 in Horrors Unleashed.
They're more than that in Pahrump. That's all I can say. So it's lots of fun. I stopped in there the other day, and it is looking good. Bowling, we've talked about some of the updates. The tacos were closed, and they seem to always be closed, but the bar was happening. The bowling, nobody was using it, but it is cool over there. And all the coin slots that they moved in there really has brought life into the place. We threw $20 in, played some dollar slots, lost, but it was great. The novelty of that. Go in there, throw some money in, get the coins, get your hands dirty. It is one of the best sounds in all of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I love it in there, and I'm glad that it's, kind of revitalized a bit and looks good, and a lot of people in there. More people than Fontainebleau's probably jealous of the amount of people you saw in there. But no, I think it's kind of, a cool spot on the north part of the strip where Resorts World and Fontainebleau are going for one thing, and then you have this right across the street that's a completely different environment, a different thing, a little more fun if you want to not be so uptight. I think this is the place to go.
Yeah, it's the busiest I've seen it in quite a while. I think moving the coin slots from Circus Circus there was a brilliant move, but there was people at the bar. There was people all over, even at the tables that they've moved in there. It's a proper casino again, and it's good to see it. Obviously not fancy, but one of the cooler carpets in all of Las Vegas. I never feel bad. When I walk in there, I'm always happy. It always brings joy in me. And so, yeah, go do that and really enjoy. We hadn't done coin slots in quite a long time. It's so fun.
Yeah, how happy were you that they remodeled, ripped everything out, and just left the carpet?
I am so happy. It looks the same though, Mark. I don't know what they remodeled in there. I mean, they put new machines and other stuff in there, but it still looks like it's 40 years old. And yeah, beautiful stuff. Not beautiful Flecha. I also ate at Flecha the other night. Now, the main reason I went to Flecha, this is Mark Wahlberg's Mexican restaurant. I think comes from California, and it's in Town Square. Is because it's on
fire,
in-kind.
right?
Yeah, they had that patio fire. I got a nice shot of one of the heaters on the patio for you guys to throw up there. But it's on in-kind. So in-kind is an app for you don't know. There's a lot of very good Vegas restaurants, including some of Jose Andres' restaurants on there. You can get discounted credits. They have different coupons, and you pay through the app. And if you sign up, I have a referral code. You can get 25 off 50. Anyway, I had some credit, and so that's why we wanted to do that. Plus, they gave us a coupon in-kind for 30 off 90. So basically, it didn't cost me anything out of my pocket. And so I guess the price was right. But it was very mid. Very, very mid. Empty on a Sunday night. Not recommended.
Boomer, you can't use that. You can't say mid. That's not a boomer term. You got to say it was eh. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
my Jewish
it looks okay, and it's just weird. Like Wahlburgers, they have the Wahlburgers brand that's kind of everywhere, and that the one around us didn't really make it. And I've been to a couple of them, and they've always been just kind of middle of the road, nothing too exciting, nothing great, nothing that draws me back. So I'm not too surprised with this. I had high hopes that it would be a little bit better, but I'm not surprised to hear you say it's just kind of run of the mill. And if you weren't getting huge discounts, you probably wouldn't want to go back, right?
No, and in-kind great because of some of the other stuff. So I kind of felt like I wasted it. Brio is in there. I like that a lot. That's in Town Square. A lot of restaurants on the strip. So yeah, it was a bit of a waste. It looks incredible though. We ordered the fajitas for two, and it comes on this giant wooden platter with everything laid out. Looked great. The mashed potatoes were good, which is a weird sort of side. We were able to sub that in instead of extra rice and beans.
In a Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, well that's what I told Jasmine. I was like, we're at a Mexican restaurant owned by a white guy. It's okay. But the mashed potatoes were good. The beans, I don't know how you ruin beans. Worst beans I've ever had in my life. So my wife is Mexican, for the record. That's
Oh yeah, they had a great garlic mash though, man. If they just would have had some steak and some fries, there you go.
Cornbread was good too. I don't know what that has to do with Mexican food.
Tex-Mex. It's Tex-Mex. There we go.
Yeah, it is. There you go. So yeah, it looks a lot like Miller's Ale House did when it opened. I mean, the layout's exactly the same. They put a bunch of plants in there. There was 5 tables in there on a Sunday at like 7 o'clock. So I don't think it's going to be there very long. So if you're a fan, you should go see it. But if not, download Enkind. Again, that's my referral down there, just a personal referral code. But I use it all the time here in Vegas, and there are a ton of good restaurants, including Zaitinha, the new Jose Andres restaurant. So a lot to go over there.
Can we get these actors to just stick to acting? I mean, and athletes
mashed potatoes.
Too.
He knows how to make mashed potatoes.
Don't do restaurants. You're just wasting money. I don't care what your buddy says. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's going to be a waste of money.
So there's a big feud in the slot channel space. I don't want to talk specifically about personalities, but Mr. Handpay made a video accusing some of the sweepstakes companies of hiring influencers and being disingenuous with the way that they show their wins, basically giving influencers house money in order to play without disclosing it to their patrons, maybe even changing the return to player when an influencer plays on some of these sweepstakes sites. So when you're watching their video, they win big, but when you play, it's not quite the same. He came with recordings from one of the companies that he was going to do business with and what they were asking, and they very much were asking just that, for him to not disclose it. He also sort of threw some other slot influencers under the bus. Since I don't have any personal knowledge of all of this, I'm not going to name names here, but disclosure is a huge problem in the influencer space, and it seems like it's a bigger problem in the slot space right now when it comes to these sweepstakes. And a lot of people are questioning when it comes to casinos as well.
I'm just nervous. Like if you're filming somebody, if they didn't know they're being filmed, what kind of, and then you talk about it, show it, all that stuff, what kind of legal ramifications is he going to get from that? So we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, this doesn't surprise me. And the sweepstakes casinos always felt shady. You read people struggle getting their money back out after they put money in and stuff. It's regulated somewhat, but it's not regulated like an online casino is. So you just got to be careful with that type of stuff. And then it doesn't surprise me that they would try to play games with videos or promos or anything to make it look way better than it is, because they don't have that same type of regulation that a casino app and the casinos that you go to have.
Now, I do know there's a lot of bad blood between him and some of the other influencers he mentioned. And so there's different sides to this story. So I want to speak about the issue of transparency rather than calling anybody out or throwing anybody under the bus. Sweepstakes casinos or sweepstakes, whatever they are, they operate under sweepstakes laws. So that means no purchase necessary. That's why you'll buy gold coins that have no value, and then they'll give you a sweepstakes coin on the side that has cash value as like a gift. And then you can use that, and that's how they get around these laws. So they are regulated, as you say, but not in a gaming way. And then you have online casinos, like we do ads for Golden Nugget, and they are regulated in the same way as a physical casino is in the states that they're licensed. For example, Michigan is one of them. We've never been asked to do that, obviously, so we don't do gambling content, so I guess we wouldn't be, but we've never been asked to lie about anything. Another way casinos could hide this is by just giving large amounts of free play. Physical casinos could do that. They know they don't even need to have a contract. They know an influencer gambles there a lot. They could be rebating the play. That's something that casinos do for high rollers. They could be offering them outsized free play, meaning more free play than an equivalent customer who's not an influencer, given the same amount of play. That's probably happening too. So just take it with a grain of salt, enjoy it, and hopefully the most honest influencers will win out, because they always do, Mark.
Yeah, totally. No. Yeah, all influencers, I just take everything with, hey, this is my look at a place or a game or something like that. Like anybody that goes and reviews a restaurant, I always assume that it's paid for or they didn't buy the meal, something along those lines, unless they just come out and vehemently say, I paid for this meal or whatever. But even then, you don't know for sure. So I just take a look at the food, look at the inside of the space. Same with gambling, slot channels, watch the game, see what the bonus looks like, maybe get an idea of how to handle a bonus or what could be better or worse, things like that. Just don't think that like whatever wins they get, you're going to get. And I think that's the same with just talking to gamblers. They always talk about the bright side of things, rarely talk about their losses. Anybody that just shows you wins, that's a red flag right off the jump.
MTM Vegas is all over social media. We're putting our videos out in short form on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, all over the place, Facebook as well. So if you are on any of those platforms, follow us. And we have our Patreon. $5 a month gives you access to the weekly after show. It's a ton of fun. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information on that. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there, everybody who follows us on social media, and everybody who watches these videos. And it is time for a weather report, Mark. It has been beautiful this week, under 100 degrees, even like 90-ish degrees for a couple days, and it's not over yet. And that is amazing for August. And so we haven't had a crazy hot summer, and it's time to celebrate.
Eggs have been marked safe from scrambling.
Yeah, they just get a little runny. Well, when you live here and you're going through 100-degree days for a month at a time or something, and then it gets down to like 90, it feels cold. I was outside, it was 95 the other day, and I would have sworn it was 75. It just felt glorious.
Did you have a hoodie on?
No. Well, I did. Then I went inside back into Resorts World, and I had to wear a hoodie because those casinos are cold, especially when you're in that shoulder season when it's not so hot outside. They freeze you.
Yeah, they keep pumping it in just like it's, hot. But 95 is still really hot. It's just, all relevant.
So the Las Vegas Athletics are finally going to play a game in Las Vegas. I don't know why they didn't plan that for this season, but they announced next year that they're going to play 6 games at the Las Vegas Ballpark, and they're going to play 2 3-game series, one against the Milwaukee Brewers June 8th through 10th, and then the Colorado Rockies June 12th through the 14th. They're not drawing really well in Sacramento. I feel like they should have just played all their games here, but I'm not the smart one.
Yeah, I'm sure it had something to do with the TV deal and keeping that going, and it was more valuable to do it up there, but it would have made more sense to grow your fan base to do it in Vegas. I still don't know that it's going to draw big. I think the new stadium will draw big because people will want to check it out. You have all the visiting teams. I don't think anybody's flying in to go to a minor league park. Maybe they will, just because it's kind of unique. How often do you get to see an MLB team playing there? I guess you could say you were at the grand opening, maybe, if you go to the first game of this, and then go to the opening day. Tickets would probably be cheaper, quite a bit cheaper than if you're going to the real opening day. So we'll have to see how all that plays out. But do you think they'll outdraw the Aviators, or do you think the Aviators will have a better game day experience?
I think they'll make sure they outdraw the Aviators. They'll buy the tickets themselves or something. But you missed the best
Chris
part
Angel
of
approach.
why everybody's going to come. They want to go to downtown Summerlin. Who else? You got to play baseball in downtown Summerlin. That's a huge win for the A's.
There you go. Get your Lululemon, everything else from the strip mall. Move on to the game. Good times.
I showed video on the last show after you said strip mall of the beautiful parts of downtown Summerlin where there's like rivers running through it and all this beautiful stuff. And yeah, there's the strip mall that Mark likes to talk crap about.
It's fine. It's nice. It's just a joke. Nobody get too upset, all right? I know there's one person that always gets upset when we make this joke, but it's just in good fun.
And speaking of the A's, the stadium cam continues to show us the progress, and there is some concrete work going on this week over at the stadium. So for those skeptics out there, and I think Vital Vegas was saying this week that Bally's is paying for that. I know Bally's was paying for some of the initial groundwork, but why would they be paying for the concrete of the stadium? This is clearly within the footprint of where the stadium will be. I don't know, but it is moving
When
along.
do you think he finally admits he's wrong? Do you think it's like on opening days, like, well, I told you guys it was going to happen?
Yeah, this is an epic. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody die on a hill as much as he's dying on this hill, but you know, he still could be right. So he may have the last laugh.
Yeah, that would be epic.
So moving on to the Guitar Tower, another construction update. Chris Holmes got his drone out there and did that. I drove by it. I wanted to try to capture video. Now, my Rivian doesn't have the best cameras, but I did film it from there. It's really hard on camera, I don't know, to translate the impact this building is having already on that area of the strip. It really has changed the entire area. It's not even, I would guess, 25, 30% of the height it's going to be, but it is dominating right out on the strip. And even in the views of me driving, you can't really capture it, but here you go. It looks great. And it's moving. Well, it's not moving fast. We keep saying that, but it's been a while. So
yeah, it's been, taking its time, but the base probably takes longer than anything else. So that's not too surprising. But you just notice, like, it's not even starting to curve, really. You're not getting up towards the top of the bottom part of the guitar, and it's already like half the size of the Mirage building. So this thing's going to be just absolutely massive when it's all said and done.
yeah, and it's right in front of the street. I mean, it's just right there. So interesting stuff, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Moving over to Rio, and this was a surprise announcement. Eggslut is coming to Rio, the popular LA eatery, of course, known at Cosmo. And Cosmo's location is staying put. It's not going anywhere. This will be an additional location. But yeah, it's going to open later this year near the front desk. I believe this is in the spot where the Fob place used to be. I haven't verified that, but that's the only place I can think of next to the front desk. This isn't replacing Hash House. This isn't going in the food hall. It'll be its own separate thing. And the question will be, will it have lines like the Cosmo location? I don't know, but it's never been good enough to justify that, in my opinion.
I know a lot of people who are like, I don't know what the big deal is, but I think this is a good get for Rio, and it's a big name and something people love in Vegas. So I think they knocked it out of the park, really. You can't ask for anything more there. And then you're adding a secondary place for breakfast to go along with Hash House. So maybe you alleviate some of the pressures there. And then I would think that the lines would be shorter here than at Cosmo, because everybody on the strip can walk down to Cosmo to get it. And there's a little bit more pain to get to Rio. So I think it will be good all around.
Yeah, it's another good move from a property that's made a lot of... it seems like one week we say something good, one week we say something not so good about Rio. It's just back and forth. But yeah, this is unexpected and good stuff. And I want to close with this. Bill Krakenberger had one hell of an interview with Matthew Boyer. That's the guy who was the illegal bookie for Ohtani's translator, with that huge story. And this ties into Resorts World and their gaming fines. Okay. And I know the story loosely, but when you start diving into this, and obviously Resorts World was fined for a lot of this stuff, and there was a huge investigation, and he was involved. This guy's name shows up a lot of places. He's going to go to jail for his role in all of this. He's wrote a book he's trying to sell. Maybe that's the purpose of his interview. But he goes into a lot of depth about the lifestyle of the people of the high rollers, because he was a bookie for a lot of people, but he was a high roller himself, basically funneling his winnings into his own gambling lifestyle. I think he lost $13 million at Resorts World, he said. Other casinos, millions of dollars up and down. But he was living that type of whale lifestyle. So you kind of get a look into his mind, into the whole thing. He goes in specifically to the situation and how the bets got crazier in the Ohtani thing. Great interview, Mr. Krakenberger. I really enjoyed this whole thing.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about, like, most people that are involved in the casino life or like work in it see all of the losses. And, you know, if you're dealing with these clients and you're making that kind of money, you'd be like, hey, there's no way I'm going to win. But some people still think, you know what, I'll be that one person to blow that kind of money when you're already, that's how you're making your money. Is just the wildest thing about all of this.
Well, he's a lifetime gambler, and that's why he's talking to Krakenberger, another lifetime gambler, but they think different, and that's how he sort of built up this crazy thing. He also talked about how all the executives knew what was going on. They knew what his business was. And this is the guy who, remember, got his wife employed as an independent host. So she was getting a kickback on every trip for himself, and then when he would send clients in there and all of that sort of stuff. So he had this brilliant makeup. He admits to everything. It seems like he's going to go to jail, and then he's going to get back out, and he says he's going to rebuild his empire.
How much did this affect Resorts World? Like, how much money was this bringing in for them? That's a huge amount of money. Just talking about him that lost there. And then you think of all his clients and everything. It was all nefarious and illegal, and there was issues with it. But was that propping them up all along the first several years? It seems like it would have been.
Yeah, they built this big whale product there, and it did seem like that's a lot of money going through there. And now that the scrutiny is on them and all the other casinos to discover where money comes from, basically anytime you bring over $10,000 in cash, I've heard that it's very strict these days compared to the way it was a couple years ago. So yeah, it probably has hurt all the casinos and probably Resorts World, but it seems like this whole thing was very widespread. And this is just an eye-opening interview, and I think people will enjoy it. For a guy in that position who did what he did and lived that life, he came across as good as he possibly could. And I almost want to buy his book, so I might do that to learn more about this crazy lifestyle that these people are living.
He's got to pay those lawyer fees somehow. But no, great job, Bill. Definitely give it a view. Give Bill a follow. He's a great follow.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Eggslut coming to Rio, Universal's Horror Unleashed, the weather, Nevada being hacked. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.